Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. Before we get into the intro and the main video, I just wanted to take this moment and just say thank you very much to Tesla and the Giga-Texas team for the outstanding event for the Cybertruck Delivery Day on Thursday, the 30th of November. Had an outstanding time. Also, thank you for the amount of access, hospitality, and friendships, allowing me to continue to do this after 3.5 years. Truly a special relationship. And as I mentioned, the Cybertruck Delivery Event was just an amazing opportunity to see so much what was going on in the factory and meet so many great people. I tried to capture a lot of it in part one of my multi-part series, and you can take a look at that video on my YouTube channel. And then part two, I tried to give a kind of a different, more detailed look at the Cybertruck production line, at least the General Assembly Line 2 on the ground floor, plus additional information. So I hope that you take a look at either one or both of these parts on my YouTube channel, and the links will be in the video description. But it's kind of unique views of what was going on and what is going on here at Giga-Texas, so I'd recommend you take a look at those. A lot of information to go through and much more than I can here in the video intro. But now that the Cybertruck Delivery Event is over, we're back to normal work. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around the site, and let's see what is going on here at Giga-Texas today. Thank you to my Patreon members and ex-subscribers. Members and subscribers gain access to hundreds of high-resolution images, previews of future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, the Cybertruck Delivery Event was a success and it is over, so now we're back to work here at Giga-Texas. But I do have a lot of new information about Giga-Texas we'll go through during the video. We're going to start on the far southwest corner. I want to give you a sense of the work on the removal of the ponds and the hills from the old sand and gravel mine, the grade work that is well underway here. A lot of the fill dirt coming in farther from the north, and you can see that it is near to the point where we might start seeing some construction. Maybe it'll be a parking lot, maybe it'll be a material staging yard, or maybe it'll be a new structure. So hopefully we'll find out very soon. Now there is a large development that is going on near the outbound lot and the new end of line on this side, and it has to do with superchargers. Now, first of all, I've heard that eventually the Tesla Semi will be used for the travel of the new cars up to the rail yard, and they're going to have, I think, mega chargers for the semis here. In the meantime, they also have a large number of these, what I think are V3 superchargers, plus the concrete bases for even more arranged on this material staging location. And there's more dead ahead, and we're going to see that here shortly as I fly over at a low altitude of this material storage location. You see quite a bit of material in various stages. Some are what looks like platforms for the assembly lines, possibly for new assembly lines as they continue to build out inside of the factory. And we got a good view of that activity during the Cybertruck Delivery Event. But dead ahead here, you can see more of those superchargers. Now, these used to be installed on the southwest corner on the south side of the factory until they started removing all the concrete and preparing for the building extension. So these are being repurposed, and again, we're going to see more superchargers on the east side as well. This road with the arrow that I'm showing you, if you watched Car Wow's review of the Cybertruck, that also they were racing the Hummer, that's where that took place. We are also flying over a large section of newly paved area of the new outbound lot, and also in the middle you can see the mounts for the light posts, and eventually we're going to have concrete or asphalt all across this entire section. And we're getting close to that point where this is getting to that final stage, so it's great to see. Now there is a lot of activity on the south side of the end-of-line facility. I'll bring the drone in here lower so you can get a good sense of the trench work that is underway here on the east side. A large trench with the workers at the bottom of the screen, and I think those are going to be for more of the concrete vaults. And then here we see a series of these pilings or large, almost like pipe segments that are being put into the ground, and you can get a good sense of what this looks like. I don't know if these are going to be footings or not. They're certainly not screw type piles that we've seen, and they're not CFA piles either, nor are they geopiers. So this is something new, and I think that what we're looking at here is most likely where all of those superchargers are going to be installed in the near future. So I'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see if that is in fact the case, but we may be seeing that large supercharger system being prepared for installation. Along the west side, more trench work. We see that blue water pipe, and it looks like that is proceeding along the entire length of this side of the end-of-line facility. Also, you can get a good sense of the work that's going on for the heating and ventilation. You can see the ducts that are sticking out through the side of the building. Also, the concrete slabs where the machinery and the equipment will be installed. And I expect to see more of that concrete work along this side as well, plus finishing up all of the conduit trenching and the water pipe trenching as well. Here's a good view next to these temporary power poles of the underground conduit and the trench work, plus the concrete vaults. This is the conduit that goes underneath the highway over to the main factory, and it will tie the two sites together. We also see some more grade work on the right-hand side of the screen along this pond and the water detention work that is part of the rainwater management system. And we see more of those concrete vaults here where the pipes or the conduit for the electrical will connect underneath the highway to the main building. So a lot of activity on this side, preparing it for final construction, and then hopefully we'll start seeing operations soon. Crossing over the highway, a few things that I want to show you here. The end of line on the left-hand side of the screen with those two ramps is getting back up to speed for today. There was no production yesterday, which is normal for a Sunday, but usually by the afternoon of Monday, we'll see a lot of the Model Ys coming out of that area. I also want to take this opportunity to address a question that we've had on this main entrance, specifically the stone glass. Here's an image I took from the ground. The big question was whether or not the adhesive was leaching up out of the cracks and causing all of this discoloration that we see. I talked to some of the people that maintain this, and they're saying that it's not the adhesive at all. What it is all of the dust in the area combining with a lot of the moisture, as you see, and then it runs down, and that's what looks like it's leaching, but it's actually just dust and a lot of moisture. Here's a good view of this crashed Cybertruck. From a close-in view, it's still here today. The two arrows are showing you the fenders, and I talked about this in my factory tour video, but you can see there's an inner liner bonded to the stainless steel outer shell, and then those are bolted directly to the castings. And that's a way the front and the rear fenders are attached to the Cybertruck, so it's kind of unique. Speaking of Cybertrucks, as you can see with the arrow, we get a chance to follow one along this west side heading to the south. So we'll continue down, and we'll take a look at the platforms here. And also in my factory tour, I kind of gave you an idea of what was going on in this particular section on the third floor. And specifically, that's where the doors of the Cybertruck are manufactured, and all with robots, which is pretty cool. So take a look at my factory tour video for a lot more detail. As I maneuver the drone around here on the south side, we're going to see a lot of activity that has to do with this extension, and the progress from the east to the west continues with the footings, and now it's approaching the southwest angled corner of the building, which is really great to see this level of progress. Now I'm going to throw up an arrow here on the main building. What I'm trying to show you is this is the current Cybertruck end-of-line exit from the factory. And with all of this construction that is going on the south end and the extension of the building, I expect that to change at some point in the future. So it'll be something I'll be watching to see how that develops. But all of the footing work, the grid line markings on the concrete column bases, the perimeter grade beam at the middle section of the video, moving off to the left with all that concrete work, and of course the steel structure is really showing a lot of progress and quick assembly. There are those 3 panes of glass. We've also got that second floor segment that has the concrete, but we can also see that the entire second floor now has been framed in, and the pitch of the roof matches the extension on stamping 2. It also just further confirms that this is all going to eventually be under one roof to make it look like a contiguous building. Here's a closer look at the perimeter grade beam here on the south end. And you can tell that there's trench work and more form work underway to continue to extend that beam. As I get closer to the main building itself, this will be a different view of the steel structure as we go around the active crane, moving steel parts onto that structure. I'll zoom in here. This gives you a good view of what looks to be another, maybe a perimeter grade beam, or at least a beam between some of the columns bases. You can see all that in concrete, and on the left hand side of the screen you can see where there will eventually be columns put right up against the existing concrete wall. And as I zoom back out, this is a good view looking down at how this particular corner is starting to take shape and the work that they're doing with the forms and preparing for the concrete. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll pull away and I'll give you a different view of this entire south end, the steel structure, and how this is beginning to take shape. The right-hand side of the screen, as we approach into the multi-level parking garage, we can see that it is definitely growing taller and larger. And I'll put a still image here so you can give a little bit more time to look. Clearly, it's 7 floors, possibly 8 if you count the current top level on the left-hand side of the screen. So as this continues to build out through this entire section, plus the height of this building, we're going to have a lot of capacity for vehicles here at Giga-Texas. You can also see some of the stairwell that is under construction on that west side. And as I continue to maneuver the drone around, this gives you a really good sense of how they are approaching this construction project. They have all the concrete and the various perimeter beams already in place. They put the concrete columns. They put some of the flooring in to a certain level, and then they stacked the concrete columns on top of the existing columns and then continue to go even higher. So there's a good vantage point here looking back at this part of the structure of how it is all starting to take shape. And again, at least 7 floors, possibly 8. So as I pull away, this gives you a good sense of the continued footing work farther to the east along this entire side. And also just look at the entire side of the site compared to the existing structure, and you can get a good sense of how much more they have to assemble. On the left-hand side, we can see some earthwork on top of that 5 corrugated steel pipe manifold system, and also along this section, part of the road work that is being prepared, and that will help serve this multi-level parking garage. As I zoom back out, we can get a good sense of some of the materials that continue to be delivered here. The concrete materials, it looks like there's 2 columns, 2 more of these sort of double beamed sections for the roof and or the floor area, and just generally a lot of the work that is going on here. As we cross over these trailers and take a look at the sedimentation basin, I'm going to put up this image here. What I'm showing you is the diagram originally of the design of this sedimentation basin, also called a biofiltration basin. And the arrow gives you an idea of what that looked like. You can see all of those pipe work inside the bottom of the sedimentation basin. That's for that filtration process. The reason why I'm showing you this is that something very similar is being put together and constructed on the east side of the battery cathode plant. So keep that in mind when we get over there. But this is a good view of how this works. You can actually see how some of the water comes in, some of the mud that has gotten to this particular pond. A lot of that will be filtered out and then drained out. And then eventually they would have to clean out some of that residue that remains. As we fly over the testing and calibration lot, we can see that many of the Model Ys have been moved off-site during the weekend. And as I mentioned, the production is resuming, so we will start seeing many more of the Model Ys. Plus, we'll start seeing more of the Cybertrucks. So currently, there are 4 brand new Cybertrucks here in the outbound lot. You can see them directly ahead. I know that several trucks, at least 2, possibly 3, full of Cybertrucks, so that would be approximately 15 of them left the site on the weekend, possibly more. And this is something that I'm going to monitor to try to get a sense for what the production rate will be for the Cybertrucks. From what I understand is it will be a gradual ramp up, certainly the rest of this year, and part of that has to do with some of the castings that they are working on, and we'll talk about that in a second. You can see all of the dust being blown here on the left-hand side of the screen. That is something that I heard about during the factory tour. There's a lot of dust because of the construction, and it has been affecting some of the work of the building of the vehicles inside. So they've been installing an enormous amount of commercial air filtration systems throughout the building to help combat all of this dust issue. Here we see some more work that's going on next to these stairs. It's most likely related to the electrical conduit. And then we can see on the left-hand side of the screen where the conduit entered the building and goes all the way up to the new switch yard, which I did confirm with some of the electrical engineers is in fact fully operational now, and both transformers are operational, which we discussed in several previous videos. This is a good view of the east side of the casting machine structure. You can see the knock-hog crews finishing up the stain work, and that is almost completed. They're almost to that northwest angled corner. The number of castings here for Cybertruck is great to see. However, what you're going to notice is that these are all rear castings. Most of these have been milled and prepared for installation, and here's some more as well. What we're not seeing is the front castings, and part of the reason is, as I understand, that they're currently only able to use one of the 9,000-ton gigapresses. The other one is nearly fully commissioned. We'll see that early in the first quarter, and once that happens, the amount of production for the castings will greatly increase, which will then translate into a higher production of the Cybertrucks. This flue that you see sticking up right in the middle of the screen, and some of the work that's going on with that smaller vent, this is all part of that new furnace that has been installed that will be used to melt down the scrap aluminum from the casting process and then be able to just turn that right back into ingots and then make more castings. This is part of that filtration system and also the ducted fans for the air ventilation. You can see how the ductwork is being installed over the openings into the roof, and then the fans to help that cross-flow ventilation. And also on the east side where all the windows were replaced with the grates, this allows for that ventilation, and that helps with the process of making the castings and some of the oil spray that gets into the atmosphere. The oil spray is used to help release the castings from the gigapresses. So that installation looks like it's coming along pretty well as well. As we work our way along the north side of the factory, the two platforms on the left is where the paint shop is located, and then the other two are where the 4680 battery cell production section is underway. This morning we see that there's a pump truck with concrete pumps, concrete trucks, and this is making the new second floor mezzanine structure And with all the concrete being put in, this is another great sign that the construction work is coming to a close. All of the steel beams and columns that have been stored out here have all been moved inside. With that large opening on the left, you can kind of get a sense of some of that work that has been going on. So the expansion of the 4680 cell production area of Giga-Texas continues. Now I'm going to bring the drone up here, take a look at the roof. I'll give you some still images. This red outline is the phase one of the solar power panel installation. There's about 30,000 of them now, and they spell out Tesla. And part of it is operational, and it is used to help reduce the power need of the factory, and it only goes directly to the factory. Phase two in the yellow will continue. That'll be over 70,000 panels. They are not going to be moving or recentering the Tesla emblem, and they will not be removing or moving any of the solar panels. But they will be adding additional solar panels onto the building extension once that is completed. So it's really great to find that out and talking to some of the electrical engineers. And also it's great to know for sure that the solar panels are not connected directly to the Megapack. Now, as we approach the Megapack, some news as well. It's very close to being commissioned. Tesla is working with ERCOT, which is the Energy Reliability Council of Texas that manages the entire electrical grid for the area, or actually for the state. The purpose of these megapacks are to support Giga-Texas, number one, and to help stabilize the grid, number two. And all of this work and the commissioning should be very soon, from what I heard during the actual Cybertruck Delivery Event. And again, it was really good to get some of those details and kind of understand exactly what is going on with the Megapack installation. There's a good overall view of the Megapack and the north electrical system that has been installed. And again, this is very close to being operational. As I also mentioned, the electrical engineers confirmed that both of these transformers are operational. All the wiring is completed. It does look like the crews on the left-hand side of the screen are doing some more wiring, or at least they have those orange spool holders, and maybe see some additional work. There are some of the covers to the concrete vaults open as well, so looks like maybe some final wiring, but the new electrical switchyard is operational fully and powering Giga-Texas, which is great to be able to confirm with the people that work on the system for Giga-Texas. Now, as I reposition the drone here over the temporary offices for Tesla with these trailers, and we'll see that there is some work on this water detention pond. It looks like they are trying to redefine its shape after some of the erosion that has happened through some of the recent rain and thunderstorms that we've had. The Tesla Road four-way intersection is fully operational, and they're continuing to prepare to extend Tesla Road all the way through this section where you see the traffic and the trees in the median. As we approach up to the die shop and the battery cathode complex, there is a lot of interesting details going on here today, and we'll get a lot of close-in views. But before we get there, I want to maneuver the drone farther over towards the east to show you where there are some additional superchargers that are being stockpiled that are destined to go over to the west side and be part of that approximately 96 superchargers that'll be installed. And you can see them here next to this bend of the road. And I'll give you a closer in view. And there's another 12 that have been stockpiled here, plus some of the electronic equipment cabinets that would be associated with them. So again, it's great to see that the preparations are in the works to finish out a very large supercharger system for the new end of line and the outbound lot. Now, as we approach this side of the battery cathode plant, we're going to look at this pond, and I'll give you some details. Now, first of all, we see another outflow channel with the formwork and rebar on the bottom left being prepared. And then in the middle, we see all of these pipes sticking up. And as we talked about earlier with that biofiltration system, or the sedimentation basin on the east side, this is very similar. And it's very possible that the reason why they're doing this is to make sure that they can collect any runoff that may include metals or materials that perhaps they don't want to get into the water system, and this will be a way of filtering that out. We also see that some of the grass seed mix is being applied to the berms of this water pond, or the sedimentation basin, so that suggests that we're going to see kind of an earthen and grassed reinforced section here for this pond. And this is a good closer view of all of the pipework that has been installed and that part of that filtration system. As I pull away, it'll give you a good view of the wade pit, the crash test facility with that rounded top, all of the materials on the east side of the cathode plant, some more earthwork that is happening just to the south of the cell test and recycling lab, that smaller steel structure. And then as we continue to pull away to the northeast from the battery cathode plant, just a good look again at a lot of the materials being stored here. On the right-hand side of the screen, there were two larger tanks in my previous videos. Those seem to have been moved inside now. On the north end of the battery cathode plant, one of the developments is that we now are seeing trailers using the receiving doors. And there's one there right now, so they're starting to bring in more of that smaller equipment that will be part of finishing out the cathode plant. The lift station looks like it's continuing to progress. The amount of the graded work here that has the geotextile membranes in the middle looks like it's progressing quite well as well. And more of the excavation work here on the west side. And as we continue to proceed to the west side of the die shop, I'll bring the drone down and give you a good view along this area. All of the underground steel corrugated pipe for the rainwater management system looks like it has been installed. The large door on the left, we know that on the inside they've been doing some concrete removal and some slab work, probably for another very large piece of equipment that will be installed there soon. What that equipment is and how it will function, I am not sure. I'll maneuver the drone here looking down to kind of help with the sun glare, but a good view of that workshop, also the south end of the die shop. We're still waiting for the glass and the doors to be installed on this southeast corner of the die shop, but this morning we get a chance to see in action another large concrete apron pour. You can see the pump truck has been put into position, waiting for the concrete trucks to arrive. All of the rebar and the formwork is completed, and the crews look like they are getting ready. So I would expect by the end of the day, all of this will be poured. In the middle, we also see some of the conduit with that red concrete on top, and some additional work going in the middle between the two structures. Eventually, all of this will be covered with concrete. The installation of the nitrogen tanks, the vaporizers, the stainless steel tanks, and the manifolds continue. I'm going to give you a top-down view look at how all of this is continuing to make progress. The 7 white tanks on the center look like all of the manifold is very close to being installed. Of course, the 4 vaporizers as well. Some more of the work that's going on in this intersection between the vaporizers and these stainless steel tanks. And of course, the work that's going on the top of the chiller plant with a lot of the pipes, pumps, heat exchangers, and some of the tanks as well. None of the Evapco fan units look to be operational at this moment in time, but we know that we've seen at least 3 of them operational. Of course, the trench work for the conduit underneath the road connecting the die shop continues as well. Here's a slightly different view of that center section graded area for eventually probably concrete, maybe paving, and of course the concrete work at the base of the cathode plant with some of the tanks on the right-hand side of the screen. So that will bring to close this day, the 4th of December. Back to work after the Cybertruck delivery event. and a lot of very interesting new developments, plus information that I was able to share with you during this particular video. So as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to cover today. And as always, thank you very much for your support. I hope you have a great week. Take care.